Hey there, and welcome to today's Explainer. Okay, so today we're unpacking a really crucial gap, the disconnect between what happens in a training room and what actually happens on the job. It's a gap that costs organizations time, money, and, let's be honest, a whole lot of sanity.
Right, so why do employees keep making the exact same mistakes after they've been trained? I mean, this is the painful question, isn't it? If you're an instructional designer, a trainer, a quality analyst, or a team leader, this is basically the riddle you are constantly trying to solve. You put the time in, you spend the resources, and yet the errors just persist. It's literally enough to make you want to pull your hair out. But instead of just accepting this as some unavoidable reality of corporate life, we're going to break down exactly why this happens, and more importantly, how we need to completely shift our thinking to actually fix it.
Because the sequence we go through is just tragically familiar. Walk through this four-step flow with me. Step 1. Training is completed. Everyone shows up, they sit through the session, the boxes are all checked. Then, Step 2. Assessment passed. And honestly, this is the part that really stings. The employee actually aces the test. They prove, on paper, that they totally understand the material. So we move to Step 3. Back to work. They're deployed back to the floor, back to their desks, basically back into the wild. And then, Step 4 hits. The same mistakes continue. It's the ultimate irony of workplace learning, right? An employee can completely demonstrate competence in a highly controlled classroom only to immediately repeat their old errors the very second they're back on the clock. It feels like a massive failure of the training itself. But as we're about to see, that assumption, that's exactly where things go wrong.
So hold on a second. Before you automatically blame the training, or the trainee for that matter, we really have to hit the brakes. We need a sort of mental speed bump, a diagnostic checklist to stop us from reflexively assigning more training as the default fix. First off, did they just forget? I mean, memory fade is real, especially for tasks they aren't doing every single day. Second, was the process actually clear, or was it kind of convoluted? Third, could they even find the SOP when they needed it in the moment? Or is that standard operating procedure buried somewhere in a 50-page SharePoint graveyard? Fourth, did their managers actually reinforce the learning, or did they just instantly push for speed over the newly trained accuracy? And finally, did the work environment actually support doing it the right way? Notice something here? Not a single one of these questions is about the training curriculum itself. They are all about what happens outside of the classroom. And realizing that requires a complete paradigm shift. We've got to redefine what we're actually talking about here. We aren't just talking about learning anymore. We are talking about workplace performance. And workplace performance is absolutely not an isolated byproduct of a class you took. It is a dynamic, holistic ecosystem. Employee success relies so heavily on all those surrounding operational and environmental factors. Think about it. If you send a perfectly trained employee into a completely broken system, well, the broken system is going to win every single time. By zooming out and looking at this as an interconnected ecosystem, we can immediately stop putting all the pressure on that one initial training event to just magically fix every operational issue. So picture this ecosystem. Imagine performance is sitting right at the center of a wheel. Learning is really just one of the spokes supporting it. What about the others? Well, consider knowledge. Meaning, is the information easily accessible outside of their heads when they're actually in the middle of a task? What about managers? Are leaders actually coaching to the new standard, or are they kind of just ignoring it? Then you have systems. Does the software or the equipment actually allow the employee to do what they were trained to do, or does it keep crashing and throwing up errors? And of course, work environment. Is it too noisy, too stressful? Are they too understaffed to execute the task properly? Training is literally just one piece of this giant puzzle. Managers, systems, and the environment carry equal weight. So if an employee is failing, we have to examine this entire ecosystem, not just that one learning spoke. Which brings us to a massive realization. Juxtaposing these two mentalities just changes everything. On the one hand, we have the old, pretty flawed question, who needs more training, right? When we see a mistake, our knee-jerk instinct is to pull people off the floor and just run them through the exact same material again. But on the other hand, we have the new, highly effective question, what is stopping my people from performing? It's a completely different way to look at human behavior at work. It assumes the employee actually wants to do a good job, and it asks us, as leaders and designers, to act as investigators to go find the friction. Is it a confusing interface? Is it a contradictory instruction from a boss? Honestly, if you only take one thing away from this explainer today, let it be this exact shift in questioning. Because the foundational takeaway here is that improving performance almost always means removing barriers, not just blindly repeating training. Training fixes a lack of skill or a lack of knowledge. It absolutely cannot fix a bad process, a hidden document, or a broken tool. True improvement comes from actively clearing the path for your people to succeed. So I want to leave you with this question to chew on for your own operations.
Instead of wondering who you need to retrain today, what operational roadblock can you remove for your team right now? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy problem solving.